Hello and welcome back to our AutoCrit interview with an author section here on our YouTube channel. My name is Becca Brinkmeyer and I am one of our author coaches here at AutoCrit. I am also I am so pleased to say that I am the coach for Team Plancer as part of our Novel 90 Challenge. And I am here today with Tammy, and Tammy is one of our winners from Novel 90 to the fall 2024. Tammy, I would love for you to introduce yourself to our audience as we get ready to talk about your work.
Hi, I'm Tammy Barker. I write to escape the real world. I'm a government employee waiting to see what happens day to day. So writing is good therapy for me, especially that short story we did a couple months ago.
Excellent. I love to hear that. It's so important. You know, I came from the corporate world, although I didn't work as a federal or government employee, but I did work a lot with our government entities. And there's something about having that at the end of the day to know that I can escape into my fictional world and I get to control what happens, because a lot of times we don't have any control over what goes on around us.
Absolutely. I'm being interviewed next month, I think, by someone at work for mental health balance with work and home. And I'm telling them to balance my work life. I commit murder on paper.
I have that sticker. What I write, because kidnapping people in real life is a felony.
That's right.
And so I have to keep all of my my fun and slightly, what is the right word, colorful and choices were made type characters. I get to do whatever I want because it's fiction.
That's
and
right.
That is one of the joys of my life.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness. It is. It's the fun part of the job. So we were talking about Novel 90 today, and you were part of our inaugural Novel 90 writing challenge. So I know we'll talk about your win in just a second, but can you just tell me a little bit about what it was like to participate in Novel 90?
It was very exciting. I was thrilled that we were allowed to pick one of 15 different categories to be in. I am a planner. I have tried to pants a story. I got 6,000 words in and stopped.
Okay.
I have tried to plan stories. That doesn't work. I'm an accountant. I have to have everything planned out. That doesn't mean I don't change anything, because I do change stuff, and I'll talk about that. But we, as planners, we come up with the basic idea and we do flow charts and things like that. And I like that at the beginning, we were able to have a couple of weeks to plan it out.
Yes.
So I was ready come November 1st to start writing.
You know, I think that's one of the differences that we have here at Novel 90. We are not a 30-day writing challenge. We are, in fact, a 90-day writing challenge. So yes, you do get that opportunity to plan your work, to write your work, and to edit your work in this supported environment. So we have 3 coaches. We have so many live events. Did you go to many of the live events?
I tried to go to as many as possible, but I had work conflicts the entire 3 months.
Freaking day jobs getting in the way of our books.
Yes, 3 years and I can retire. So
ooh,
I'm ready to learn about being able to write full time.
I am looking forward to the day that I am at a book signing and I see you there and I can run over and give you a giant hug and be like, look at this, we're selling our books.
That's right.
Oh my goodness, it's going to be such a great day. One of the things that we have, though, as part of Novel 90 is that we're very structured, but also not structured at the same time. Like, we're not going to tell you what to write. You would choose, like, we don't, but we are going to give you suggestions from all 3 of our coaches. We have our working writers. So we are all people that have, all 3 of us this year, we're best-selling authors. We have hit the list before. We have multiple pen names and we have multiple genres represented. So what was it like from a coaching standpoint to kind of have that element as part of Novel 90? Do you think that added to the help? Like, what, we won't be offended. So we just want to know, like, what was it like to have that coaching aspect?
The coaching was fabulous, and actually I took advantage of the coaching from all three of the coaches, because sometimes a planner needs to talk to a pantser about something. When you realize your story's not working, a planner may or may not understand.
Yeah, I think that's something about the writing styles. It's so interesting when we talk about this, because as a planter, I have a little bit of both, right? Like I've learned, I used to be a fully discovery writer or a pantser, but when I started writing at more of an output, so I had a higher level of deadlines and I was just producing a lot more, I have to have a plan. I have to know where we're going. Even if we might take a few detours, and we always take a detour. I have to know where we're going to end up so that I can plan out the rest of the series, so that I can plan out who these character arcs. It's just really important to me. However, if I get down to that granular level with my outline, and I've had to do it before, where I have every single beat mapped out and I know all of my world building ahead of time and all of my setting ahead of time, that kind of hurts my creativity a little bit, because my brain needs to have that detour. Mm-hmm. So that is how I became a planter. But I think there's just so much we can learn from each writing style, because no one is really truly just one way. When you can say, I want the spontaneity a little bit sometimes of the pantsers, but I need the structure of the planners, and I need the ability to detour of the planters. I think that just makes a stronger draft, wouldn't you say?
Yes, absolutely. A couple of years ago, I wrote a story with the working title, Butler Didn't Do It. Uh-huh. And I was right at the 50% mark, right at the midpoint. And sometimes the characters start talking to you, for you, and it's like you writing stuff you didn't realize you were writing. It does happen, no matter what anyone says. So I'm literally at the 50% mark, and one of my suspects blurts out her motive.
Rude.
So it's like, okay, I'm halfway through the story. I get to come up with a new motive and tweak things around. Yeah. Which is when the discovery writer has to come into effect, because it totally screwed up everything. It's like, how dare you tell everybody why you might have killed the guy?
Gosh. Yeah, no, I've had full on derailment of everything that the book is going happen, where I'm just riding around and my character decides to be a bit of a brat and is like, actually, we're doing something that you haven't even thought of yet. And I'm like, this was supposed to be a rom-com and we're heading very, very quickly into psychological thriller, and I just don't know. I was not intending to write a psychological thriller rom-com today. So what are we doing? Although now that I say that, I was like, maybe I should have just let that happen, because that actually sounds kind of awesome. I don't know how to make it, but I kind of want to read it. So maybe whenever I have a free moment, I'll finish that one.
Sometime in the next 20 years?
Sometime. Yeah, I'll just pencil it in. Like, I think some Saturday in May for 2029 looks really great.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So let's talk about your work. Tell me about the book that you finished during Novel 90. And I have read a lot of, I've read, some of it and was completely enthralled. So tell me more.
Well, let's see. Let's start with my story Bible.
I love that you have an actual, oh my gosh, are those tabs, color-coded tabs?
Yes. Framed for Murder, I actually got the title from ChatGPT.
Okay.
Because I had no clue what to call it.
Fair.
It is about a rich socialite Bostonian, old money, seriously old money, which is why I said it in Boston, because California ain't going to work with old money, no offense. But I wanted it to be old money, so I picked Boston. And she is a museum docent, which from the most part is volunteer work. That's why I had to make her rich.
Of course.
And I kind of stole a little bit from the Thomas Crown Affair.
Okay. The same kind of art heist type.
Yeah, because she works in the museum during the day, and at night she goes onto the dark web and finds the rich clients who want a piece of art that they cannot get because the owner's not willing to sell it to them. So she goes and she steals it.
I mean, it does sound like it could be also an incredible movie, so I'm already into it.
That's what my boss said when I told her. She said, "This sounds like a screenplay." Okay, whatever. I just write for fun, you know. But as of right now, unless this goes into a series, she does not steal from museums.
Okay.
I did research on security at museums, security at houses. I invented my own security jammer to get into somebody's house.
Okay. This is good. I'm into it.
I learned about the dark web and the black market, what the difference was.
Ooh.
And part of I used ChatGPT just to start the spark of the ideas.
Uh-huh.
And I had no clue what the difference was. So I asked and was trying to find out what the difference was between the two, because I had a character who's on the dark web and I had a character who's in the black market.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned when you're asking AI questions, you have to be very specific.
Yes, you do.
Because I was asking questions, about, what is the, dark web, what kind of people are on there. And I asked ChatGPT, do you buy and sell things on the black market? And she responded literally saying, I do nothing that is illegal. Because
your robot friend. Your robot friend does not want that.
I was asking if she did it, not if someone did it.
Uh-huh.
But I think the AI is good to help you figure out what questions to ask when you're doing Google research, how to phrase it right so you don't get in trouble.
Exactly, because I'm going to be honest, I've written a lot of dark romance, especially as a ghostwriter for my ghost clients. There are things that I've had to Google that I was like, oh Lord, my search history is interesting. So, I mean, I'm in incognito mode, but we all know that incognito mode is not incognito truly.
Well, there's the Tor, which I'd never heard about before.
Oh.
But it seems like everybody in the world knows about this app except for me. It is an app you use to go onto the dark web anonymously.
I see, I've never gone to the dark web, so I don't know.
And it's like, I'm waiting for someone to come knock on the door and say, I'm with this 3-letter agency that no one's ever heard of.
We need to talk to you about your search history, Tammy.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I have a joke bracelet that says, if I'm dead, clear my search history and destroy my phone.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I have one on my bulletin board. You can't see it over here, but it's one of those little warning signs that I have a friend who has one of those things called cricket. Those
Cricket.
things that, cricket. A friend of mine has one of those, and we both use it for many probably projects that didn't need to happen. But I have a little warning sign like you'd see on a job site and stuff like that, and warning says search history related. Search history is because I'm a novelist. And that is,
yep.
I have Googled the weirdest stuff.
Oh yeah.
In the name of research.
Misty is a cat burglar,
okay.
Which the majority of the time a cat burglar does something just to see if she can do it. It's not really about getting the thing for money. It's about, can I get the thing?
Well, and I think isn't that kind of the like, if you're having the rich kind of socialite who's volunteering because she needs to have, either she believes in philanthropy or it's a good look to be both wealthy and have this philanthropy element that you're like doing something with your time.
Absolutely.
And then that's, I am not an heiress or a socialite of any kind. People say money can't buy happiness. I'm willing to give that theory a shot. So, but if that is, if she's bored or she doesn't have anything else to do, this is the ultimate challenge, right? These are people that she knows this world. She knows who these people are. She knows how they work. She knows where their weaknesses are. So I get the appeal of having this.
Yeah. The
Socialite.
The gentleman who is in the black market is an old college beau. No romance in this story because I couldn't write romance if my life depended on it. But he's trying to get her back, and he's helping her out with things because there's actually a competitor thief who's trying to frame her for what he's doing.
Excuse me. I love that. I love that added conflict because now she's like, "Excuse you, what is happening here?"
Nobody knows who this person is. They just call him White Tennis Shoes.
Okay.
Because that's what he wears. Even at the gala, he showed up. Nobody noticed him. He was wearing a tuxedo and white tennis shoes.
I mean, I kind of love it because I would be gravitating to the person who's like, yes, all of this is custom, like bespoke, I don't know, brand name, but these are also my fans because comfort is key.
Yes. So I've got some very quirky characters in there. One victim who is also a suspect, because I have actually one murder, one theft, and at the museum she works at, and then the one guy gets hit. It's a hit and run. So I have 3 different crimes happening in the same story.
Okay.
And the gentleman who is involved in the hit and run is a museum conspiracy. I don't even know how to say the word. Conspirator. He does museum conspiracies.
Oh, okay.
You know, he thinks museums are all stealing all these donations and stuff, and they're selling them on the dark web and leaving fakes in the museum and all this stuff. So I've got, all kinds of weird stuff that goes on in this story. And no, she does not find out who White Tennis Shoes is before the end of the story. I left the last line, I left it open in case it is well received so it can turn into a series.
I want it to be a series, Tammy. Consider it well received. Go ahead and get started on book 2. I want this to be like a whole thing. And if you decide that she meets her match in book 3, 4, or 5, you know I will help you get that romance arc in there because this is my jam. And I mean, it doesn't have to. I love, a mystery. It doesn't have that in it. Yeah. She doesn't need anybody. She's a strong, independent woman.
Yeah.
And
that's the way she is.
Yeah.
It was fun doing research on the different neighborhoods in Boston. I had to find some rich neighborhoods. I had to find some poor neighborhoods to figure out where everybody would live, where the crimes would happen.
That sounds like so much like you've put a lot of planning, team planner, into building this out. I love that you have a giant notebook with like color-coded tabs. This is amazing. And honestly, I mean, the thing about heist mysteries is that they're so universally fun in so many ways because you get to, yes, heist has been done in 100 bajillion different ways.
Yep.
But each one is still uniquely different in how it all comes to play. And I don't know. I very much want to read the whole thing.
Yeah. I have a published author friend of mine who, when I told them about this story, said, if you don't write this, I'm going to steal it and write it for you.
See,
so that kind of gave me the push to do it during Novel 90. Somebody else was going to steal my story if I didn't write it.
Well, now that you have written it, when can we read it? Are you in the query process right now, or are you doing indie? What is your plan right now?
It is with some beta readers right now, and I am trying to decide if I need to look for a third agent, because I've already lost 2 agents in the last 2 years, or if I want to go with the small press that doesn't require an agent, or if I need a certain software company to help me figure out how to self-publish.
Ooh. See, I wonder if a place like AutoCrit, which has Self-Publishing 101 and multiple self-publishing coaches on, could help with that.
Yeah, and how to help with the marketing and all that. Because, I mean, even if you have an agent and a publisher, you still have to do the marketing yourself now.
Yeah, you do have to do quite a bit of it. I think, that is one of the cool things that we have recently added. If you run it through Market Fuel yet?
Not yet.
Okay. Wait till you do it. It's going to be super fun for you. I've been running my backlist through Market Fuel for the last few weeks, and it's just been, I've already changed some keywords, and I actually did see some rank change on one of the ones that I changed early on. So I am really gratified by that. I've seen some conversions on some of my lead magnet ads, which is great. But it's a fun way, and it's such an informative way to do that market analysis, because that is an important part of figuring out where our book is positioned in the market. Why, when there's millions of books, do I want you to read my book, and how do I find that target audience? Now, that does bring me back to Novel 90, because that is something that we talk about during these free events. So this isn't just a challenge where we're like, get the word count oriented. This is ultimately finish your work and be ready to publish oriented. And I think that kind of sets us apart from some of the other challenges that are out there.
Yes, it does, because it's it's more about doing the whole process instead of just writing the book. If you want to plan the book, you plan the book, you write the book, you start learning about editing, you start learning about finding beta readers. All this goes on during December, where you're trying to get to the next step.
Yep.
And I thought that was really great that gets added to this. And so people need to take advantage of it.
Exactly. Well, now we are doing one this summer. Are you going to be joining us for Novel 90 Summer Edition?
I am not sure yet. It depends on my husband right now.
That's true. You do have some stuff going on. Well, you are the reigning champion from Team Planner. So you are, yes, and you are our inaugural winner of that grand prize. Now, winning the grand prize is such an exciting occasion. Can you just give us a little hint of what that felt like when you were on the call, and because we announced those live, we did not give you guys
correct
pre-warning, because it's more fun.
Yes.
Fun to just surprise you.
It was definitely a surprise. To be honest, I submitted the 1st of January, I think, and promptly forgot.
There's a lot going on.
And so I get this email through Discord from a friend who had also done the challenge. I think she's a planter or a pantser. Don't remember. She doesn't plan very well, I don't think. And she said, "You made the short list." And I said, "What?" So, and then, as she's telling me, I'm getting this email from AutoCrit saying, "You made the short list." So I didn't get to tell anybody in our Discord channel that I made the short list, because Jade had already done it. So it's like, okay, there's 3 of each group. I can't wait to hear about these 9 stories, 8 outside of mine, because some of the titles just intrigued me. And the three planner titles were amazing, because I was imagining, Much Ado About Marriage. Okay, what is this about? So I was trying to picture what each of the other stories were about. And then, fortunately at that time I was still working at home, so I was able to watch, when it happened. And I was all ready to start hearing about the stories, and then my name showed up, and it's like, what the heck? Because honestly, I did not expect to be in the shortlist, let alone the winner. Because I started this story as a joke.
Well, your story resonated with our entire judging team, and we were just we were very excited about this. We are still excited about this. All of us want to read all of it, and we cannot wait to see it in print. So as soon as it's for sale, you're going to have to let me know, so that I can get myself an autographed copy and put it on my shelf, because
absolutely,
I believe in this story. I believe in you as an author, and I am just really genuinely excited that I've gotten to know you through this challenge, because this has been so fun for us as coaches and as AutoCrit. But I just love seeing these wins. I love that this idea came to you kind of as like this is funny, I'm going to try to make this happen. And then look what it has turned into.
Yep. I have probably about 3 dozen people who already want to buy the book.
Well, yeah, add me into that list, because I'm into it. when we talk about, so, you finished this one, it's currently in beta, so you're getting close to being done. You're going to make the decision if you're going to query, you're going to small press, you're going to indie. And what does that mean for what's next? What are you also working on?
Okay, what am I not working on?
I feel that in my soul.
I have a series I started probably back in 2006, because that's when I started writing. Set in Las Vegas.
Ooh.
And for the first 10 years, I was just goofing off with writing. And the first one is with a small press right now to see if they want it. And I also did an open submission to a press in the UK in March.
Okay.
To see if they'll pick that, if either of them will pick it up. And if they both say no, I might just go indie or, some of the smaller presses again to see what happens there. And I have 4 full drafts of the first 4 in the series, plus half of a 5th one.
Amazing.
Las Vegas, and each story has the theme of something that people think of when they think of Las Vegas.
Oh, I think of a lot of things when I think of Las Vegas, so I feel like this could be a very robust world.
My editor loves it. I mean, the first one's about the mob that allegedly doesn't exist in Las Vegas anymore. Yeah, right. And there's honest politicians in D.C. But I can say that because I work in D.C., okay? Second one is about the status of people in Las Vegas. The half-finished one is about the food industry in Las Vegas.
Okay.
I've got one because there's a lot of conventions out there and sports gambling.
Yes.
And I've got one about burlesque.
Ooh, I'm intrigued. I want that. I want to read that one, especially.
Yeah.
I love the burlesque.
Two more I'm thinking about are, you think of weddings. I got my 3rd marriage. I got married in Las Vegas by an Elvis impersonator. So I got to have a murder of some kind of Elvis, I guess. And then pawn shop involving buying a Christmas present for somebody at work.
Oh, okay.
Because everybody goes to pawn shops to try to keep gambling.
That's true.
So, there's all kinds of themes that I could do for this as a series. And then I've got my Butler Didn't Do It story, which is also with beta readers right now.
Okay.
And a half-finished story of a professional mourner.
Oh. So someone who goes to funerals so that you have someone to represent you?
It's someone who usually goes to the funerals because they get hired by the family.
Okay.
Sometimes it is to, find out what's going on, watch the stuff that's in the casket to make sure nothing gets stolen.
Oh.
Your deceased is not a likable person, so they hire people to come in so that it looks like they're a likable person.
This is a real job, because I kind of
yes.
Oh my god! Oh my gosh! This okay. Now you are responsible for my Saturday going into research about professional mourners.
Okay, so because think about all the people who are senior citizens. They do nothing. They go to every funeral in town.
Yes.
And that's what this lady is. She is a senior citizen in Myrtle Beach, and that's what she does for a living.
She mourns.
She's a mourner.
Oh my goodness! Well, I mean, I guess it makes sense if you have there's professional bridesmaids.
Yeah.
So
it's the same concept
of life. Yeah.
And it's actually still, it was popular, centuries ago. Sure. It's still popular over in the Asian countries.
Oh, okay.
I found out that there was, and I thought this would make a great story. Maybe you could write this one. In Australia a couple of years ago, there was a professional mourner who showed up in Australia and went to the funeral service and exposed all the family secrets during the funeral. Could you imagine hiring somebody to do that?
I need the backstory, immediately. What happened, and was it if I wrote that as a story, and not to capitalize on other people's pain, because clearly that's paid. But if I fictionalize this, it would be that the deceased hired someone to blow everything up before at the funeral because they were like, I will have the last word here. You people thought you were putting it, you thought you were slipping this, I forget the expression, the wool over my eyes.
Yeah.
And turns out I knew it all, and you're about to be put on blast.
And if I remember correctly, that is why the person was hired. He was hired by the deceased.
Oh my gosh.
To bring out all the family secrets during the funeral.
Drama. When I write romance, I thought you were like, and then the professional mourner like somehow made a connection with the recently like widowed person or widower, and then they got married.
I'm sure that could happen too. So
I was like, oh,
it could go so many different ways.
I don't even know how you would tell that meet cute story. Be like, yes, actually, we met at the funeral of their.
Why not? Why not?
Because I was hired to be there.
Yeah, I mean, my current husband. The first time I saw him, I thought he was a creepy, dirty old man. He was flirting with someone who was half his age.
Oh. Wow.
So there's all kinds of meet cutes out there for very strange stuff.
And I do like to write unusual things. So this could be fun. I might have to explore this. If I do ever write something like this, I'm definitely going to put your name in the dedication as thank you for putting me down this path.
It is in the Writer's Thesauruses by Becky Ackerman, I think her last name.
Yeah, I have some of those. Yeah.
That's where I got the idea, was going through the occupation one.
Oh, I don't know. Am I missing one? Oh my gosh. I don't have the occupation one.
Yes.
I have like 6 of the other ones, but I don't have that one.
Yeah, I think there's 8 or 9 total.
Yeah. Those are a great resource for anyone watching. The Writer's Thesaurus. We are not affiliates or anything like that. It's just, they're so handy for figuring out. I use the emotional wound one a lot. I use the emotion one a lot because that's the genre that fits my genre expectations, but they're very handy as references, and I prefer them in print so that I can highlight and put my sticky notes in it. I am that person. I do highlighted books that are reference books for me, and I will be taking no questions about that because I bought it and it's mine. Some people are like, you can never, ever, ever highlight in a book. I was like, well, I use it for work and it is a reference book, so I will be doing what I want.
Absolutely. Post-its, pages that are important. The ones for the settings are really good.
Yeah, I do love the setting ones as well. I think I have the rural setting one and the urban setting one.
Yes.
I do a lot of small town, and then I also do like neighborhoods in large cities. I don't try to encompass the entire city. Like if you are not from New York City, which I'm not, I'm a West Coast person, it would be really difficult, I think, to be able to capture the entire vibe of New York City without actually having that experience of having lived there. But if you have spent a lot of time in one section, you might be able to, and doing a lot of research. I don't know, New York City residents, I am not trying to take over your neighborhoods or presume that I can capture the vibe correctly without chatting with you first.
That's right.
It is, yeah. So just as an example, just like when people, here on the Pacific Northwest, I was reading something about Seattle. I spent a lot of time in Seattle, and they kept saying that it was just so sunny and bright during the winter. And I'm like, have you ever been to Seattle in the winter? It is in fact not that. There was no rain. There was no gray. There was no clouds. There was no like strange drizzle. It was just like bright and sunny all the time in like February.
They must have been there for 2 days.
Yeah, I was like, maybe you caught like a weird sunshine spurt, but typically there's going to be a bit more rain. So
I do like the Seattle's underground.
I love everything about the Pacific Northwest. I'm never leaving. Pacific Northwest is my home. But yes, okay, back to this. I just want to end with this. So we are working on many projects. Do we have a way? We do have a way for people to follow your work. So I will be posting your links in the caption of this video so that people can come check out what you're working on. Mm-hmm. Is there a recommendation or a piece of advice or something that you would pass on to someone else who's kind of on the fence about whether or not they want to join Novel 90 and give it a shot to go through this challenge?
Best piece of advice I have is if you have a story, even if it's just one line of a story, give it a shot, because you never know what's going to happen. Your characters might talk to you. You might have someone else who's doing it, his sounding board for you. It's a great release, especially if you're committing murder. It is a great release for you to do something that you've never done before. And my mantra is, what if?
I love it. You know, you literally do not know until you give it a shot.
That's right.
If it's going to work or not. And I can tell you that the impetus of one of my more successful series is based upon a really weird dream that I had that I then was just kind of stewing about. And I had this idea for a character that just kind of popped into my head while I was taking a shower. I still had a hair mask in. I've talked about this in the past. And I like scrambled out to find my phone, and like my everything is like soapy and gross. And I was able to get voice recorder on to record what this idea was. It just had to come out of my head. I'm a cinematic writer. I can see things happening in my head as I write. And I just like got it all out there. And then I went back to my hair mask. And it turned into this gigantic series. And I am so grateful, not just from the success side of things, but just I'm so grateful that I trusted my intuition that maybe this idea is worth exploring. Yep. And we have tools on AutoCrit that you can help you explore. We have our story builder where you can put in what you have. You don't have to have a fully fleshed out idea. You can put in what you have. We can brainstorm it. We can figure out if it'll work. You can analyze it so you can get the promise of the premise, and it'll give you some things to think about. You can run market fuel on your story idea to pre-validate, like, where does it fit within the market? Where could I sharpen this so that I have a better chance of selling it? And those kinds of things. So yes, I think I would echo your advice. You don't know until you try.
And AutoCrit, I actually have a tab for AutoCrit in my story Bible.
We love to see it.
With, running all the reports to figure out, okay, what might be going wrong, or this particular thing did not get resolved. And it's like, there was nothing in there about, when I was doing it for the Butler story, there was nothing in there about resolving white tennis shoes. Yeah, because I'm leaving it open for a series.
Exactly.
So, it's AutoCrit is a great beta reader. Yeah, because sometimes beta readers are good, sometimes they're not great. But AutoCrit is the same way. Some of the advice is good. Some of the advice, where your story's going, so you don't have to follow everything that's in your beta read that you get from AutoCrit.
I think that's an important distinction too, is that we are an AI assist software. We are not an AI generative software platform. So we're not going to change your work. We are going to give you suggestions. We're going to highlight where we think that you can make improvements. We're going to track. We're going to analyze all of that. But it's up to you to take those decisions and make the decisions that's best for your book, because you do know your story better. I know with some of the language, we always like to pick on adverbs. I know all of us adverbs.
I try to not do adverbs.
Sometimes, especially in dialogue, depending on the speaking cadence of the person that you are writing, people use adverbs when they speak.
Mm-hmm. They do.
Like, this is seemed like someone were asking me for help with some dialogue on one of their books, and they were writing a high school student, and they didn't use any contractions. It was an extremely formal way of speaking. And I was like, I don't know about you. Maybe you're around very posh and formal teenagers. I'm around my kids' theater troupe and D&D campaign and the marching band kids a lot. No one speaks like this. If you're trying to be relatable and you're trying to especially note the youthfulness and how people are using, you don't have to like dump in all of the current slang, but you do need to adjust the cadence of speech in order for it to translate on the page. And so you might want to throw a couple contractions in there. You might want to throw in some adverbs or some filler words, because that is how people speak.
Correct. And with dialogue, that is one of the most important things, is how does this person talk? My butler, he's never going to use a contraction. Never.
It's very posh and proper.
Because that's the way he is.
Yeah.
And then you get the, guy who's mad all the time and he's saying the F word or whatever. You got to realize that with the characters, you need to talk about the dialogue based on who they are. And that's what does the dialogue. And one thing I have learned over the years, make sure you add reactions to things, because that's probably my hardest thing is somebody finds a dead body. Okay.
Like it's Tuesday.
There's a dead body here because, many moons ago, I was held up at gunpoint in a restaurant and I did not freak out.
I have been mugged in my travels before, and I stayed relatively calm through the whole procedure, because you go into that fight, flight, or freeze, and I was like, I don't want to die. I do not want to die. Whatever it is, you want my digital camera, take it, please. Like I don't carry a lot of cash, but it was like, here, whatever I've got. Thankfully, in that particular instance, they did not take my passport. Thank God. But yeah, I've been mugged, and it wasn't until I think 12 hours afterwards, or 12 to 24 hours afterwards, that I kind of had a panic attack after that. I was like, oh my gosh, it just hits you because you're in shock, you're in the moment. But that is such a powerful moment to have on the page.
Yes.
To have that they're carrying on their daily life, then they hear a voice or they hear something, or something triggers the fact that they had this traumatic experience. And then all of a sudden they're sliding down the wall, their head is in their hands, they're trying to control their breathing because they can't let anyone else know what happened to them. And their hand is shaking as they're still holding their wine glass. I'm assuming they're at a gala now because I'm going off of your story thing. Like something like that. That is the reality of the reaction. That is the reality of what that does to you on a person, provided that you were unhurt, if you were physically fine.
So, when I was robbed, I gave the police an exact description of what the two guys looked like, including the guns they were carrying.
Oh my goodness.
And the cops said, are you sure? We've talked to 11 other people that were at the restaurant and nobody gave these descriptions. I said, I know what I saw. And 3 days later, they were caught doing it at another restaurant. They had pictures of the two guys, the front page of the newspaper. They looked exactly how I had described them.
Worthy, that is excellent. You definitely have a high attention to detail.
So, that's the thing with the characters, is you got to think of how they would react to whatever situation. Even if it means writing down a letter about something that happened. What would they tell their best friend about what happened? That will tell you how they would react to things.
Exactly. And these are all the kinds of things that we actually talk about in our coaching sessions throughout Novel 90, right? Like we talk about reactions, we talk about emotions, we talk about dialogue, we talk about these sticking points that we all have. Tense, consistency, point of view. How do you write multi-POV? How do you choose what tense you want to write in? These are all things that we address throughout Novel 90 because we want you to write the best book possible.
Yeah.
And so we're very proud of this program, obviously.
Yes. The tense, I actually got it from Daniel. Try to write the same scene in a couple different tenses.
Yeah.
To see which one fits, or a couple different POVs to see which one feels the most comfortable for you. Then you go from there. I miss Daniel. I miss his shirts.
Oh, the shirts were pretty wild. That is for sure. But anyway, well, we are right about at time for our interview session today. So is there anything else that you would like to share before we close about your experience as Novel 90 and as the rating champion for Novel 90 Team Planner?
I will always remember being the very first planner winner.
Yep.
And anybody who wants to give it a shot, just do it.
Amazing.
Nobody has to see what you write. Just do it and see if you have fun.
We don't have any qualifications on genre. You can write fiction, you can write nonfiction, you can write mishmash. We're not going to be critiquing these things.
No judgment on anything. Just
And
do it. It's fun.
And our community is so supportive. They
Yes, it
are
is.
here to, if you want to be hyped up or if you just want to do silent writing sprints, we have a space for you here at Novel 90 by AutoCrit.
And the forums are great, so do it.
Yes, I do love our forums. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Tammy, for being with me today.
Thank you.
Again, follow Tammy's work on the links below. And we will be also, there will be an extended interview on our blog. So that will be linked as well so that you can see more from Tammy. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Right.